Hi, Capricorn. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for January of 2023, a whole new year. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
I'm Julia Mijas in San Francisco, California.
Let's jump in and take a look at January for you, Capricorn. I want to start with two of our favorite asteroid goddesses, which is Juno and Ceres. Juno begins the month in your third house, but she's been here for a long time. She's been here since July, and I've talked about her amply in the last few months in your horoscope. So I'm not going to belabor that anymore. Instead, I want to focus on Juno moving on into your fourth house, into the sign of Aries. And this happens on January 13th. And Juno's going to be here for a couple of months. Wherever she goes, Juno brings a very social quality. She's about collaboration and partnership. She's the social maven. She's the matchmaker. Fourth house is the domain of home and family, domestic life, heritage, and roots. Juno is kind of a social manager. You might even think of her as your cruise director. And so she might really like to arrange things for people on the home front while she's in the fourth house. And if you are single and looking and you're in a dating mode, you might find that in your dating, not the first date, because nobody does that, but as you're going along through your dating process, when you meet somebody and you feel like you really want to get to know them better, you might find that you actually want to take them home and to show them how you live, because a relationship that really includes your home lifestyle is likely to be founded on some pretty solid principles. And the sooner that they see how you actually live, the more realistic of a view they have of you. And then you might want to see how they live too, because especially if you're looking for a really long-term partner that you can have a family with and share a home with, it's kind of good to know that, right away. So, and if you are partnered, I think that Juno passing along through the fourth house is going to bring a lot of attention to the domestic aspect and sphere of your partnership. Figuring out how to get along better in your home and how to manage your home as a team. So really good month for those activities. Now, Ceres is the other asteroid goddess that I want to talk about right now. And she has to do with the things that connect us to the physical world, our bodies, the food we eat, and the money that we earn. Ceres is traveling through your 10th house this month. She is in Libra. Libra is a sign that has everything to do with balance. And so Ceres likes to balance things when she's in Libra. She wants to balance your diet. She wants to balance your money, your budget, your checkbook. And here she appears in the 10th house, which is the arena of career. And so she'd probably like your salary, your income to be a little bit better balanced too. Ceres moving into the 10th house suggests two things to me. One is, if you are employed by somebody else, then this Ceres might want you to really put your worth into your job and then ask to be compensated for it. In other words, spend this time bringing a lot of value to work, and then you can feel really good about asking for more compensation on the work front. The other thought that I have about this is that if you are self-employed, this Ceres moving into the 10th house does suggest that it's time to get your business's finances really shipshape. And it would be a very good idea to start that process early here in February, instead of waiting until April, until you're, like freaking out because you can't find those receipts, or trying to have a conversation with your business partner about where those receipts went and what all of our tax deductions are anyway. And the reason why you'd really want to do that early is because next month, early February, Ceres is going to be turning retrograde. And she's going to be retrograde for several months until May. Whenever she goes retrograde, there can be financial tangles and snarl ups and messes requiring you to go back and redo something that you thought you'd done properly before, like your bookkeeping or your bank resolution online. And so getting in early on that and planning it out and getting it right the first time, there's still time to do that. So bringing some good stewardship to the arena of career and business is a great thing to do when Ceres is there, especially when she's about to go retrograde. Hey, Julia, I know you've got news about Venus, Mercury, and Mars. What is that stuff?
Yes, I do, Capricorn. I'll start with Venus. She's the planet of beauty, relationships, and pleasure. She's going through 3 different houses this month, so she is moving rather quickly. Now, she starts in your first house for the first day of January. She mainly spent December in there as well. And that means that, for this holiday season and especially New Year's, you've been looking extra good lately. This has been a very good time to do anything to beautify your looks and maybe even date if you've been single too. Now, by January 2nd, Venus enters your second house. This is a house of money. This is a house of possessions. So with Venus in the second, this could be a good time for getting your end of the year bonus because Venus is adding a little bit of extra luck to all material things in your life. Venus in the second house is also a wonderful time for acquiring new things. Maybe you're going shopping. Maybe you've had to return some items you've gotten over the holidays to get stuff you really, really want, but are really nice for January just in terms of kind of getting more stuff in your life that kind of makes you happy. Then by January 26th, Venus enters your third house. This is a house of siblings. This is a house that represents your neighbors and your local surroundings. So by the end of January, you could be really enjoying your neighborhood a lot more, your local community. Maybe there's some stuff happening. Maybe there's an event in the park that you want to go to sort of meet up with some neighbors, or maybe you're walking your dog and making new friends along the way. It's also a great time for getting along well with your siblings, especially if you guys were to sing eye to eye during the holidays. There's time to make up for it now. And then Mercury, the next planet I want to talk about, the planet that represents communication. It also represents your mind. Mercury starts the month retrograde in your first house. So since the first house is the house of self, you could be personally misunderstood a lot during this cycle. And with Mercury in the first, maybe you're trying to articulate yourself as best as you can, but it's just not landing the right way. So make sure to be patient. And if there are any miscommunications, you can definitely go back and clear those up. Then on January 7th, Mercury exactly conjoins the sun while retrograde. We call that Lesser Epiphany Day. Greater Epiphany Day happens later this year when it's a direct Mercury conjoining the sun. But in any Epiphany Day, it's a time of insights and revelations. And since this cycle is happening in your first house, you might be having this clarity and these insights into yourself personally. Maybe you're having some insights into how you project yourself to other people, or how you come off to other people, or maybe there's some other sort of personal revelations that you're having early on in the month. Then by January 18th, Mercury finally goes direct, and that means that all of the travel screw-ups and miscommunications and technological issues you may have been dealing with for the past few weeks are slowly going to get better, and then Mercury's moving fast by the end of the month. And then finally, I want to mention a few things about Mars, because Mars has been retrograde for a number of months now. This cycle only happens about once every 2 years. So it can be particularly annoying and frustrating. So Mars has been retrograde in your 6th house. This is a work house. It also represents your health and routines. So you have been maybe personally frustrated at work lately. Maybe you've had to kind of go back over your actions at your job, or you're just running into disagreements with your coworkers or anyone else you work with. Since the 6th house is a health house, house, you may have been dealing with some flare-ups and chronic conditions you might have, like whether it's migraines, whether it's hormonal issues with your cycle. It's just that these things might have been coming up and they become extra annoying. But Mars in the sixth house does give us the energy to put forward some good routines so that we can make our health better. And on January 12th, when Mars goes direct, this is a good time, especially since Mars is in this house of routine, and this is the beginning of the year to start putting your attention and your activity to setting yourself up with some good routines that are really just going to support you at the workplace and also with your health that you can live with for the next year. And I think you have a few more things that you'd like to share, Jamie.
Yes, I'm thinking that Mars turning direct is going to be such a relief. So there are a couple of moons that I want to talk about and the seasonal change. The full moon in Cancer right here of January 6th. So with hanging out with Pallas Athena, goddess of wisdom, and opposing couple of Capricorn placements right here, the sun in Capricorn with Mercury retrograde, which Julia spoke of a minute ago. So there are some extremes implicit in this full moon. Full moons do have a tendency to be polarizing. They do have a tendency to be emotional. This one perhaps the more so because the moon itself is in Cancer, and it being across the axis of self and other, and the moon falling in the house of other, does definitely suggest that you may be encountering big emotions in your partnerships, most particularly coming at you from partners, whether those are personal, like somebody you're dating or married to, or a personal friend, or a business associate of some kind. So watch out for those big emotions around this moon, rendered all the more intense perhaps by this Chiron, which has been traveling along through your fourth house for several years and will be here for a couple of more years. Chiron, the wounded healer, which does come up in the asteroid goddess class that I'm teaching. Chiron in your fourth house has been bringing up old wounds, perhaps from as long ago as childhood, and providing opportunities for a deeper healing than ever before, especially with family members, or to do with your sense of place and home, full stop. So this moon could really stir the pot around that. But the good news is that Uranus has a harmonious relationship to this moon. Uranus has been traveling along through your fifth house for, again, several years, and will probably be here for another several years. I wouldn't know precisely unless I actually get a look at your specific chart, which we can do in a class, by the way. But Uranus's traveling through your fifth house has brought up a lot of sort of agitation and disruption coming at you, mostly from your children, if you have any. And they may have been rather rebellious and reactive, and just sort of breaking stuff down. And also this Uranus transit along your fifth house can be a time for powerful shifts in your creativity. So that's an interesting thought. And my point, though, and how this connects with the moon, is that Uranus has this wonderful harmonious connection to the moon. It sextiles the moon, it trines the sun. So this Uranus is actually the factor that helps when things get overly emotional in your relationship this month. And so maybe your child is actually helping you and your partner get along. Not that that's their job. That shouldn't be their job, to help you and your partner get along. But another source of help from this Uranus can be friends and tribe and community. So there's a lot of help that Uranus is giving to the stress and tension implicit in this moon, and also a lot of support that this Uranus is getting in making those creative breakthroughs during this moon. Yes, it's complicated. Astrology is complicated, but understandable. Okay, so now I want to tell you about the seasonal shift, which happens on January 20th. That happens when the sun moves on into Aquarius, leaving Capricorn and your first house. So If you are a sun sign Capricorn, your birthday has happened, but it is not too late to get your annual birthday reading and get a really good start at your year with Julia or me in a solar return birthday reading. And you can find that on our website, pandoraastrology.com, in the readings tab. Solar return birthday reading. It is such a great way to empower yourself in your year. But the sun is moving on into your second house of finances, of food, body, and money. All of that Ceres stuff that I was talking about, this is her domain. When the sun comes in and lights up this house, it brings the light of conscious awareness to this house. This is a really great transit to have along with the Ceres stuff that's going on in your 10th house, because the sun in bringing the light of consciousness into the domain of money is really ready to pay attention to finances. And so this is a really good time to attend to your finances, notice, and really just like, if you've been shoving those papers under a pile, bring them out, look at them. This is a really good time for that. For the whole 30 days that the sun is traveling through your second house. Also a really good 30 days for paying good attention to your body and how you eat. So this could be a really good time for attending to your diet and how the food that you eat feels in your body. Now, the last thing I want to tell you about is that we have the new moon in Aquarius also happening in this second house right here as the moon joins the sun in your second house of food, body, and money. This moon we're calling Nurture the Tribe. It is a very social moon. It's a pretty bouncy and gregarious and fun moon. We've also said that because Ceres is involved with this moon, it trines the moon beautifully and opposes Jupiter and Juno, which sextile the moon. So this moon has lots of help and support from other planets. And with the emphasis with Ceres trining it and the emphasis being in your second house, I think there's every possibility of going to parties with great food or providing great food to parties and events. And if you are all about great food, this would be a really good time to do something about that at an event where you can invite a lot of people and people can get to know each other and network and connect and strengthen, their social connections with each other under the wonderfully humanitarian and even potentially fundraising moon in Aquarius. And that's happening on January 21st. Right before Chinese New Year. What could be a better reason for having a party? Not a whole lot. We love making these horoscope videos for you, Capricorn. And if you love that we do it, please do hit that like button so we can do more of it, because you have told YouTube that you like this stuff, and then they'll show you more of it when we make it. That was a convoluted sentence, but I think you get my point. Let your friends know about our horoscopes too. Have a gorgeous January, and until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.